Picture this. You're sitting in a courtroom. The defendant is accused of a violent crime, but instead of denying their actions, their lawyer argues something shocking. My client's DNA made them do it. Sounds like science fiction, right? But this scenario might not be far from reality. Can your genes influence whether you commit a crime? Should courts consider your DNA when deciding your guilt or punishment? And what does this mean for the future of justice? Let's start with a big concept: genetic determinism. This is the idea that our genes play a major role in shaping who we are, our behaviors, traits, and even the choices we make. But don't worry, it's not as simple as your DNA controls your life. It's more like genes give you a head start in certain directions, while your environment steers the rest. Think about aggression. Studies show that certain genes, like the MAOA-L gene, might predispose some people to anger or impulsivity. It's even been nicknamed the warrior gene. But here's the twist. Having this gene doesn't make you violent. It's the mix of genes and life experiences, like childhood abuse or trauma, that can tip the scales. Alcoholism is another big piece of this puzzle. Scientists have found that some people inherit a higher risk of addiction, especially a type linked to impulsive behavior. Add heavy drinking to that mix, and the chances of violent outbursts go up. But does that mean someone with this genetic predisposition is less responsible for their actions? Courts around the world are wrestling with this question. In 1994, a man named Stephen Mobley tried to use genetics in his murder trial. His legal team argued that a history of violence in his family, spanning generations, was linked to a mutation in the MAOA gene. But the judge said no, claiming there wasn't enough evidence to prove his genes caused the crime. It sparked a fiery debate. Can we really hold someone accountable if they were biologically wired for aggression? Here's an important point. Your genes don't act alone. Just like a recipe, it's the combination of ingredients and how they're cooked that creates the final dish. For example, two people might share a gene linked to impulsivity. One grows up in a supportive, stable home. The other faces neglect and abuse. The outcomes? Often worlds apart. Some experts believe that understanding the genetic side of behavior could lead to a fairer legal system. Imagine a defense lawyer saying, "My client has a gene that makes them more impulsive and their environment pushed them to the brink. Should this be a reason to reduce a sentence? Or does it open a dangerous door for excuses?" On the flip side, genetic insights could improve rehabilitation. Instead of punishment, we could focus on tailored programs like anger management or cognitive therapy that help people overcome their challenges. It's about finding solutions, not letting people off the hook. This brings us to the ethical dilemma. Where do we draw the line? Should genetics ever be a full defense? Or should it simply reduce the blame, like claiming self-defense or temporary insanity? And what about people who know their triggers? Should they be held more accountable for not avoiding risky situations? As science advances, we might see more genetic evidence used in courtrooms, but this raises tough questions. Are we ready for a world where someone's genes are part of their legal identity? And how do we balance compassion for their biology with justice for their actions? Ultimately, genes are just one piece of a very big puzzle. They can shape tendencies, but they don't dictate destiny. By combining science, law, and compassion, we might create a legal system that's both fair and forward-thinking. So what do you think? Should genetics play a bigger role in our justice system? Or is it too risky to let DNA influence decisions about guilt and punishment? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into science and justice, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that challenge the way we see the world. Until next time.